You know, so I, I just checked my Facebook, right? And when in between the times that I'm doing stuff in the real world, when I'm resting, I like to check on that and check some of my favorite channels on YouTube and see what other people are doing, right? You know what other people are doing? Not all the other people, but there's a lot of other people. They're mad. They're so mad, so mad. And why are they mad? I think it's a good reason. I mean, kind of good reason. I think that if we desire, if we're mad and we desire to change our ways from being mad, we should change what we do in support, right? So, uh, a friend a friend of mine, they just shared a deal. There was a video that they were watching, and it was mentioning things in the video that she just thought was kind of weird because it was like basically talking about Klaus, but it was a character, right? This Klaus was a character, and they were building a new world order, right? And it's like a new world order can be a wonderful thing, right? If it's based on natural laws and natural principles of cause and effect, and there's transparency and efficiency and accountability and all of these things that we want to see. I mean, like, for me, if I were to build a new world order, I would want it to be based on the health, happiness, peace, and abundance for everyone everywhere. And I think that most other people would choose that too, because that's because that's what I like. And I'm not saying that that's what you should like, but in the contrary to that, a polarity of options is dis-ease, right? And depression and anxiety and suicide and war and scarcity and having to pay somebody somewhere else to exist on every level. Well, to me, I don't want to. I don't want that stuff. I've been through a lot of that stuff, and I don't want it anymore. I didn't want it then, but it was the culture that I'm growing up in that made that seem like a normal thing, right? And it's I'm gonna try to shield this thing. The wind's kind of blowing, so hopefully we can maintain some sort of audio. um, People are mad though. People are mad because some of the things in the world aren't the way they should be. It's we should not be. Well, let me put in an example out here. I know it was a cartoon, but the Flintstones, they built they built their own little castle out of rocks, right? And I've stacked enough rocks in my lifetime that I know that if you cement some rocks together, they're going to stay that way for quite some time, and they don't burn, and they don't mildew, and they don't rot away. I mean, there's things that make sense, and there's things that don't. Why are we building houses that only last 30 to 100 years because the termites eat them up, or a fire consumes them, or a flood knocks them down, or rots them away, or there's we're just not doing everything the way we could be doing things. you know we could be doing things in a way that makes sense, right? I mean, because a lot of people are growing gardens, but it's all of grass that they pay somebody somewhere else every week or every 2 weeks to come and mow it down and throw it away. But if we were growing food locally, well, then you can gather your food from the source for free rather than the gross restorers for a fee, right? And why did we ever stop just growing our own food? I mean, why is it that we had to drive somewhere else that to gather food that was grown somewhere else by somebody else. You know, there's a saying that local gardens solve many of life's problems, and it's real, because that takes care of one of the things of life that we need, right? We need food, we need shelter, and we need clean water. And the rest of the things that we need, like air and sunlight, those are just naturally provided, except when they're spraying the skies with reflective metal particles to provide a shade. But my solution to that is plant trees instead to provide shade, because because that's what makes sense, right? And the trees, when they when they're done doing what they're doing, they drop their leaves to the ground, and it provides mulch, and it provides healthy soil and fuel for the future. But the metal particles that are being sprayed as a reflective shield against the sun rays, which we don't need that. We actually we need the sun. We do. We really do. So let's stop supporting that. But the thing is, people are mad. People are mad because there's so many things that are happening in a way that they don't like, right? And they're like, "Oh my God, this sucks," but then they keep supporting the same things that are causing the things that suck. But if we do differently, we're going to experience life differently. And when we each do a little bit, there's there's like documented somewhere. Somebody somewhere said there's like over 8 billion people on this planet. Well, let me tell you, when 8 billion people are each doing a little bit in a different direction, it shifts the whole experience. Because right now, there's just a whole bunch of people not doing anything towards what matters. But when we put our attention towards what matters gets the attention, right? And then there's no reason to be mad, because we're putting our energy to what we want, and that's what we get. Because we are the masters. Why have we allowed somebody somewhere else to dictate and have authority over what we do as a free, beautiful, independent and empowered, blessed and beloved child of God? That's what you are. You know, everybody, that's what we all are. We are all brothers and sisters here on this planet. We're humans, right? You know, different shades of colors, different expressions of consciousness, because it would be a boring place if everybody, or it'd be a boring place for me if everywhere I went, people were exactly like me, right? That would be like might as well be a horror movie, because there's enough room for me in me. That's it. I mean, you know, I don't need anybody else trying to be me. Just be you, you know, and make that the best way that you know how, because that's where you're going to find happiness. Because if you try to do all the same things I do, you may not find happiness. You might find insanity, right? Or you might find boredom. You're like, oh, this is dumb. Whatever, you know. Maybe you like to knit scarves underwater. Power to you. So, anyway, you know, I'm trying to build up this channel because I'm trying to bring ideas that haven't been advertised to us, yeah, by on the television programming, by idols that want you to do and see things a certain way. It's no wonder that a lot of people are doing very similar lives. They wake up to bells, they respond to bells, they do as they're told, they get dressed up with a suit and a tie and a collar that chains them to debt and a desk for 20 or 30 years until they can retire, and then they die. that's that's not what I want. So that's not what I do. And what I do is I've realized that if I live out here in the desert, it's way cheaper to live, and I get my time to do what I want to do. And what I like to do is I like to learn. And school almost knocked that out of me. but luckily I didn't pay enough attention there, and I paid more attention to my mentors, and I like where my life has ended up. So, and if certain things have worked for me, and I'm no specialer, I'm no more special than any of you. Um, I think that what I've learned can help others too. And so, if you like what you have to hear, I got a lot more of it on the channel. And so right here, you can subscribe. And right there, you can watch the next video that YouTube thinks is best for you.